What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Take It Apart channel. Folks, today, I've been waiting so long to do this. Today we're going to take apart a piece of tech from back in the day called the VCR, a video cassette recorder. And some of you are like, oh yeah, I remember those. And other people are going to be like, what the heck is that? And folks, this is what we had back before DVDs and streaming and whatnot. You had a large magnetic media cassette player, which allowed you to record straight from the TV and save it to watch later. Believe it or not, there was a time where we all had to watch things that were broadcast on TV, and that was our only option. If you missed your episode, well, there's no going back. This changed the game. So folks, I have here a Panasonic PV9451. This is a 4-head stereo Omnivision VHS player. And let's see, is this made in 1994? We'll find out. We'll open it up and we'll look inside on some of the chips and whatnot. But yeah, pretty basic. You see that we have regular RCA outputs for video and stereo sound. But at the same time, we have antenna ins and outs. Crazy, man. This is definitely memorable going back. So, in order to open this guy up, we're going to have to go to that back panel. You see, it's very simple. We got power, VCR, TV. And believe it or not, these guys were tuners for your TV as well, which was fantastic. And very simple button configuration. And one record. Oh, this one does have an auxiliary video in. So, it's composite video. All right, folks, to open this up, it's going to be extremely simple. Believe it or not, it's just a couple of these number 2 Phillips screws. You can see I've got one here. We have one over here. And there's normally one on this side, but I'm not seeing it. So maybe there's only 2. Right? Yeah, typically these guys have more than 2. And then this panel should just lift right off. But is it being pinched? Okay. All right, so I have a couple more screws, but they could be, see how the metal's folded over? They could be actually pinching it here and here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those 2 anyway. This VCR here was donated to me by my neighbor's trash. Yes, it is not uncommon for my neighbors to see me driving by or walking by and being like, hey, that looks pretty darn cool. And I will take it here for you guys' viewing enjoyment. All right, I'm not going to take off that bottom pan. Notice that this guy is quite dusty. I should have a rag. Hold on one second, folks. Let me get a rag so I can dust this bad boy off. And that way there, I'm not getting my entire work surface dirty. Good stuff. All right, and that is it. It was actually being pinched by those 2 screws. See, right there and right there. Cool. So what makes up a VCR? Crazy stuff. Well, believe it or not, oh, it's got a movie inside it. Oh, multiple movies in Chinese, of course, because my neighbors are Asian. Yeah, go figure. That's kind of cool. Maybe they want their disc back. So, wait a minute. Holy cow! You guys did just see that, right? I took DVDs or CDs. What are these? They look like they're music CDs, don't they? Or are these DVDs? They don't have the color of DVDs. They look more like CDRs. Anyway, they were in a VHS player. These do not belong in a VHS player. Oh my gosh. So somebody put them in there thinking they were going to play it, and that didn't go so well. All right, folks. Well, over here we have a TV tuner mechanism. and of course that's connected to the RF ports. This right here is the cassette loading. So a cassette will come in, and then this right here will move back, and then it drops down. And when it drops down, we have a whole assortment of things that move around. So the tape will come over here, and it will drop down ahead of these guide pins, which I do not believe, yeah, they're not in their home position. They should be like all the way up. And the tape will load on this side of it, and then when the tape gets loaded, it wraps around your drum right here. So one of the things I want you guys to pay attention to is the fact that the drum is at an angle. Kind of funky, right? Because your magnetic tape is going across it, not at an angle. Why is it that the drum is at an angle? Well, let me draw it out for you, folks. This is why VCRs have a drum at an angle. All right. So if you can imagine, let's say this cross section right here is my tape. And typical paper is 8.5 by 11. So that means I have 11 inches. Whoop. I have 11 inches this way, right? It's about how much space can you fit on a magnetic medium. So if this is the same exact cross section of videotape, I only have 11 inches worth of writing material. But if I write at an angle like this, I now take that 11 inch and I expand it into 32 inches. How crazy is that? So normally I would get 11 inches worth of material, worth of magnetic medium, but by angling the drum and it spins at an angle, it goes over at an angle your magnetic tape, and it writes at an angle. How crazy. And then the very top section right here, we have audio is at the very top of your magnetic tape, and down here at the bottom, it's going to write timing marks, because video cassette players can play at different speeds. So at the bottom, there's going to be magnetic timing marks, and at the top, there's going to be your audio track information. So knowing that, now you know why the drum is at an angle. So the tape would not be at an angle. It spins like that. And over here, we have an erase head. You see this guy right there? So the tape will run right in front of that. So because this is a recorder, it needs to also be able to erase the magnetic tape so that the head can record new material. So this guy right here is going to erase the tape when you're recording so that this guy here hits nothing but fresh zeros on your magnetic medium. And then over here, we have the audio recorder, and down at the bottom, we have, there's a proper angle. So at the very top is where it records your audio track information, and at the very bottom is where it keeps track of the timing of the cassette. So if the cassette is playing like extended play or super long play, SLP, it reads the timing marks on the cassette, and it knows how fast to feed the tape. And it's going to feed the tape based on these pinch rollers. So over here we've got a roller that pinches against a magnetic or a metal pin. And let's get you guys down nice and close so y'all can see, so you know the history of VCRs. This is important stuff, folks. Okay, so this guy right here, when you load a cassette, this will pinch against this metal roller, which is nice and smooth. This metal roller is connected to a drive motor, which you can't see it spinning anything. And this cam motor right here is on a worm drive. This will actually activate all the different mechanical assemblies. You see that there's some push rods and stuff here, because as something gets loaded, these guys here will move up into position, pulling the tape up. It pulls it across the erase head and the audio head, and that is all done through this motor right here. There is a drive motor up and on the underside, which will spin a thing, the two cassette pegs right here and right here. there's a couple other things that you guys should be aware of. Right here is an LED, it's a infrared, and this guy is used to detect when a cassette is out of tape. Because a cassette tape, the ribbon itself is normally black. And when it's black, this guy here does not get to the receivers, which are over here and over here. So as this tape is coming through, if you are rewinding it, it will go from black to clear, and all of a sudden this little receiver over here receives the light, and it tells this guy to slow down. Because if it was rewinding at full speed, it will yank the tape right off the reel. So when it hits the clear, it says, hey, 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 slow down, slow down. So, and then you can hear the motors go into slow speed. And likewise, when you're playing it, if it gets to the clear on this side, it knows it's at the end of the tape, right? It won't play until it feels resistance. It's going to play until it gets clear, and then it says, well, I'm at the end, and it automatically tells it to press stop. On this side over here, you can see the power supply. So this is taking the AC power, it goes in, it turns it into DC, and that's what drives your motors, your RF, your fancy little drum right here. Let's see if we can open up the drum and take a look at the underside, because the drum is such a cool piece of technology in itself, because partially what you're seeing, the shiny surface, that's not where the magic happens. The magic happens on the underside. Here we go. Most people don't know this. Most people think that the head is right here, but it's not. Notice the giant commutator on the bottom. People that fix things like medical equipment are used to having giant commutators, which you can see right here. They go from here to here. So these right here are the 4 heads. This is 4-head VCR. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And as it spins across, these little tiny sensors right here, right here, right here, and right here, actually are what make these lines that go across the tape. Very cool. This guy is in pretty good condition. Could probably use a little bit of cleaning. When you're cleaning your heads, these right here are what you're cleaning. These little tiny pickups. Very cool. And you can obviously see your drum driver right here. And this guy is a balanced part. Very precise. So cool. I'm so glad that I had a VCR to pull apart for you guys. Now, the only other component that you guys should probably be aware of, things always break where the user interfaces with the device, and that is usually up here by the front buttons, which are on the front bezel. Now, on many devices, these buttons are cantilever buttons, which means they're usually pressing on buttons which are on the main PCB down here. But these ones are not. These actually have a board right here, which are connected with some really unusual ribbons. You see how these have solid ribbons? And there's one on the other side right there too. And that is what picks up the clickety-clacks of all these front panel buttons. Cool stuff, guys. Most of the defects in your VCR are going to be from this little guy right here. So this roller, which pinches against and keeps the traction on the ribbon, this is going to get dirty and or wore down, and rubbers do break down and dry rot over time. Your heads will get dirty, so they get cleaned periodically. You can see the inside of this guy is really dirty. Power supplies are a very common fault. Now over here, you have the input power over here, and you have the filter and output power over here. The output power has all these little filtering capacitors, and these capacitors are electrolytic. They're known for failing. If you see them bubbled up, if you see a little bit of leakage down near the base, these guys here all have to get replaced. The good thing is they are easy to find. Electrolytic capacitors are absolutely everywhere. Good stuff, folks. And that is pretty much it for a VCR. This one doesn't have a lot of the fanciness like the digital upgrade, which would be the HDMI, and you know, it doesn't have composite video. It only has component, or it has composite video, it doesn't have component. Yeah, very basic, folks. A lot of little capacitors all over the board. Definitely from yesteryear type of technology. And interesting enough, they have really good silk screening on the main PCB, which modern day electronics usually don't have. This tells all the test points. It shows all the adjustment points. Man, I do love old tech. Anyway, folks, that is a vintage Panasonic VCR. Hope you enjoy.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below with what you'd like to see in future videos.